All right, so the first page of the word problem practice just explains angle of elevation, angle of depression. It also gives you your trig functions here. So usually in these word problems, we'll use sine, cosine, or tangent, one of the three. Remember, you're going to need your calculator to find what one of these are. So angle of elevation is from the ground up. So from the horizontal line going up, that would be your angle. Angle of depression is from the horizontal line down. So angle of depression is always outside the triangle, never inside. So looking at this one, let's say our angle of elevation was 50 degrees. Our angle of depression was 50 degrees. What would this angle inside of our triangle be? 40. Awesome. Because this makes a right angle. So it'll always add up to a right angle here because it's a horizontal line with a vertical line. So if it gives you the angle of depression and it's outside your triangle, to find whatever your angle is inside, you just subtract it from 90. Another way to think about it is we have this horizontal line here and a horizontal line here. So these two lines would be parallel. If you cut them by the transversal here, this angle down here is going to be the same as the one outside. So if the outside one's 50, the angle down here is 50. So just two different ways to think about it. If you have two parallel lines cut by a transversal, these would be alternate interior angles, so they're the same. All right, so let's take a look at number 1. A tower casts a shadow that is 60 feet long when the angle of elevation of the sun is 65 degrees. How tall is the tower? So we need to draw our tower, and it casts a shadow, which would be on the ground, and the shadow is 60 feet long. The angle of elevation of the sun is 65. So here we'd have 65 degrees. We need to find how tall the tower is, so this would be x. So 65 degrees is our theta. What would x be? Opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse? Opposite. What about 60? Adjacent. So which trig function involves opposite and adjacent? Tangent. So we would take the tangent of what? 65, because it's always the tangent of the angle. Your angle is theta, so whatever has the degrees. Tangent of 65 is equal to opposite over adjacent, so x over 60. From here we would need our calculator. We can cross multiply or just multiply both sides by 60. So x is going to be 60 times tangent of 65. So first I would find what tangent of 65 is in my calculator and then multiply it by 60. 128.26? No, 128.67. Anybody agree, disagree? And then what unit of measure would this be in? Feet. All right, so let's take a look at number 2. Matt is standing on top of a cliff 350 feet above a lake. So we have a lake and we have a cliff. Cliff is 305 feet above the lake. The measurement of the angle of depression to a boat on the lake is 42 degrees. How far is the boat from the base of the cliff? So our boat's going to be out here. And then we have an angle of depression here. So remember, angle of depression is your horizontal line going down. So this is 42 degrees out here. Yeah. Because your angle of depression is going to be outside the triangle. So it's the horizontal line down. So if outside we have 42 degrees, what would this angle inside of our triangle be? 48. Awesome, because it's going to add up to 90. Now we are trying to find how far the boat is from the base of the cliff. So that would be x down at the bottom. So if this 48 degrees up top is our theta, what is x? Opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse? Opposite. What about 305? Adjacent. So which trig function involves opposite and adjacent? Tangent. So I would take the tangent of what? Of 48, the tangent of your angle, and that's equal to opposite over adjacent. So x over 305. What do I need to do here to solve for x? Multiply both sides by 305. So x is going to be 305 times tangent of 48. So x is what? 338.74. And what unit of measure? Feet. So number 3 is one of our special right triangles because it's a 45-degree angle, which means that this one's also going to be a 45-degree angle. So what would the side down below be, the other leg? So in our 45, 45, 90 triangle, just in a basic one, our legs are x and x because it's an isosceles triangle because it's 45, 45, so the legs have to be the same. And then our hypotenuse is always going to be x square root 2. So whatever that leg is, we just multiply it by square root 2. So what would our other leg in this triangle be? So if this one's 5 square root 2, what would the one down here be? It's going to be the same as the other leg. So this is also 5 square root 2. Now for our hypotenuse, we just take our leg and multiply it by square root 2. So it's 5 square root 2 times square root 2. So it'd be 5 times square root 4. And what's square root 4? So 5 times 2 would be 10. So our hypotenuse is 10. So the hardest part for your special right triangles is coming up with the two other sides because we can't just do Pythagorean theorem. You have to know your special right triangles. Once we have the sides, we just use whatever theta is here and come up with our 6 trig functions. So sine would be opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite is 5 square root 2 over 10. What does this simplify to? Square root 2 over 2. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so 5 square root 2 over 10, which would be, again, square root 2 over 2. Tangent is what over what? Opposite over adjacent, so 5 square root 2 over 5 square root 2 simplifies to 1. And then for our reciprocal functions, we can just flip them. So this would be 2 over square root 2. But what do I have to do here? Rationalize. So multiply the top and the bottom by square root 2. So I get 2 square root 2 over 2, which is just square root 2. Because the 2's cancel. So make sure you simplify your fractions. Secant, we do the same thing. So we get 2 over square root 2. Rationalize. This would be square root 2 again. And cotangent, we just flip tangent. So 5 square root 2 over 5 square root 2 would be 1. So in our special right triangle, in a 30, 60, 90, so this is 30, 60, 90. Opposite of the 30 is just our x. Whatever number that is, opposite of the 60 is going to be that times square root 3. So here we would have 60 degrees up top. So if our x is just 7, opposite of the 60 would be 7 square root 3. And then our hypotenuse is always going to be 2 times x. So whatever your x is, multiply it by 2. So this would be 14. So then you're using this angle down here, the 30, as your theta to find the 6 other trig functions. So the 2 triangles that you need to know are your 30, 60, 90 and your 45, 45, 90. So 45, 45, your legs are just going to be your x, and then your hypotenuse is x square root 2. Yes. So I would write these down.